Cannabis is psychoactive across a number of body systems, including the brain. And for your purposes, the one that is most important is that it impairs the plasticity of the brain in young people. Now, it's a dose related relationship. So, obviously, more cannabis impairs plasticity more. Young people should avoid cannabis as much as possible, as they should alcohol and tobacco, because of this neuroplasticity, which is the ability of the brain to shape and to grow in what we consider a normal manner.
The marijuana that teens are getting their hands on can be 10 or even 30 times stronger than the marijuana that was smoked at Woodstock. This poses a problem because the potent marijuana contains a much higher level of the psychoactive ingredient tetrahydrocannabinol, known as THC. When marijuana is smoked, the THC interacts with the developing brain and can cause harmful side effects, including psychotic episodes and, in some cases, lead to schizophrenia.
So my oldest son, during his high school years, sort of went into what we thought at the time was just kind of a typical teenage dark phase, was using marijuana. We just thought at the time that it was sort of just a typical phase in adolescence, but we discovered later that that's sort of the classic symptom of what's called the prodrome stage of psychosis. He went away to school, and during his second year he was diagnosed with psychosis.
You know, like any parent, you have hopes and dreams for your children, and you you try to help them move forward to achieving those, and it's almost like a complete other person that comes back. Like our son went away to school with good aspirations, and he came back a completely different person. He doesn't have the ability to achieve anything further than what he's doing now, which is sitting around the house and watching TV, and that kind of thing really breaks your heart.
When he was diagnosed, he was attending a clinic out east, actually an excellent clinic, and he gave them permission to call us and get some background information on him as part of his file. And definitely one of the questions was, had he used marijuana? And of course the answer was yes.
Marijuana can interact with a person's brain in a lot of ways, depending on where they are developmentally and how much marijuana they're using, and even the type of marijuana, like the strength. So marijuana that people use now tends to have a really high THC content, and during youth, during the synaptic pruning, while your brain is developing, more of that gets stored in your gray matter and tends to interfere with natural development. It can do things like, if you have any kind of predisposition to mental health, so if you have underlying anxiety, or if you've had a family member with some kind of psychotic illness like schizophrenia or bipolar, it's quite likely that that can become triggered. It also can do things in your brain like cause those things. So even if those underlying conditions were not there, there is some evidence to suggest that it can interfere with your anxiety because of the way it interacts with your fight or flight response. There is definitely the possibility out there that if you have a psychotic episode, you can recover and things can go well and you can live a very, very normal and very high-functioning life without another psychotic episode. That becomes much more unlikely if you continue to smoke marijuana. And if you are someone with schizophrenia, which is a chronic lifelong condition, and you continue to smoke marijuana, it will probably worsen some of the psychosis around it.
Sam was the oldest, and he was a very bright boy, very athletic, sort of destined for good things, I think. It's been difficult for the whole family to kind of accept the changes in him, accept the changes in what our life is going to look like down the road, and what responsibilities people will have later in life.
Sometimes I get to acceptance, and then I fall back into depression and anger because you think that you still have that. His exterior person sometimes gives you the hope that he has more, but the reality is that he won't get any better. The people just diagnosed with schizophrenia, I would say, as far as the use of social drugs, I tell them to try to get them to stop. And for families that have kids doing it socially, just understand the dangers of what it could be, not dangers it could be for future. You know, if they're prone to having mental health problems, then there is dangers with mixing it with marijuana.
We must work untiringly so that our children are obliged to learn the truth, because it is only through knowledge that we can safely protect them. Failing this, the next tragedy may be that of your daughter, or your son, or yours, or yours, or yours.